Welcome back, everybody. This is the Big Fan Podcast, the dumb questions portion, or segment, if you will, of the podcast, where whenever I can, I'll get someone on here. Most of the time, it's probably going to be Jordan.
It's going to be me, so I like myself.
I'm going to be asking him dumb questions, or maybe dumb to you, or sometimes smart questions, but most of the time, for me, they're dumb.
No such thing as a dumb question, but there is.
But there is. Sometimes there is. Don't let anyone
I heard some
fool you.
really dumb questions.
Some dumb questions. And we'll go pretty much into like just deeper topics and opinions and thought pieces, and sometimes we'll probably do a little more research on our own to answer something that maybe one of you guys ask us or want to know about, or even if I ask and like he's like, I don't know, I'll come back to you and I'll do some research, or I'll do my own research and all that. So we're gonna figure it out, see the best formula. So today, kind of wanted to start this one off with very old, probably the oldest profession, but very goody. I'm talking prostitution. Good old prostitution. And what the question is,
dang,
how do you feel about it?
Well,
like the state of it now. Okay. You know, how it came to be, why it's so prevalent still.
What I think about it.
Why isn't it more prevalent, and all that stuff, all in between.
Very cool. Well, first of all, thanks for having me.
No problem.
That's an awesome question. Kind of wish I would have had a little more time to think about that, but that's the age-old question. You know, there's I think the age-old question of like, what do people want? Yeah. You know, I think it comes down to, at the end of the day, I don't care what anybody says, they want more money, they want to be loved, and people want to feel good about themselves, whether that's through exercise or whatever it is. You know, prostitution is, I guess it gets looked at bad for a lot of different reasons. One being that it's illegal. We've made it illegal.
Yeah.
In this country, at least. So there's some places that, you know,
most of it.
It's legal. Most of it, though, is illegal. The other thing is that you know, it can be looked at as wrong in a religious views because
that's the biggest one.
You know, and I think that's where it got outlawed. You know, I don't know exactly, and I'd have to like look into that some more. You know, double check on why it actually is outlawed. So it has this bad rap basically.
Definitely.
My thought personally on it, my personal opinion on what prostitution is.
Yeah.
I would like to say, you know, myself, I would never pay for sex just because that's not.
You think it's a shot to your ego?
I think that if I got to the point in my life where I had to literally like find somebody and pay them for sex, that would be probably one of the lowest lows in my life.
Okay.
You know, so
what about
me personally, would I or have I ever like paid for prostitution? No.
Sure.
I'm sure at some point in my life I've thought about it.
Yeah.
You know, like what, you know,
I've definitely thought about it.
You know, like, thought about it for sure.
Like?
What would it be like? Because it's like, it's almost, you know, it's almost like going to the restaurant and ordering whatever you want instead, as opposed to what's in my pantry today.
Yeah.
So if I thought about it, yeah. Wow, prostitution. You know, that's my first thought on it. You know, is it gets this bad rap. I think that anything.
Well, you said like you feel like it would be like the lowest point of your life if you ever had to pay for it.
Right.
But what about this? What about if it was like just like going to the restaurant, like you said, picking out what you want to eat and eating it?
Sure.
What if to even the most successful guy in that category, as far as getting whatever he wants is in the lady department or girl, what if it's just like, hey, I got stuff to do and I have needs, and I know I can you know, I can go talk to somebody and get it done that way, like a normal a normal person.
Yeah.
But like I have like an hour and a half to get my needs filled.
Sure.
I don't want to go through the grind and potential of hurting somebody's feelings or, you know, or any of that. And I'm just gonna go get a prostitute, you know, and it's legal, you know, hypothetically legal at this point. Or if you're like in Nevada or something, and the state and the city has approved it, so it's everything's above board. They get checked. They're everything's above, and they
right.
And the girls even have like protection, like security outside or whatever they need to be. Do you think it's like that would be okay for somebody like who is like a person like you who could get it done on their own, but don't necessarily want to go through that grind, or if you got a lot of plates spinning, you don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, that's like a basic human need is affection
mm-hmm.
and love. That would be like the quickest and easiest, I would think, cleanest way.
You temporary fix, I guess you could say, because you're saying that people want love and affection. I guarantee.
You get an affection.
I don't know, but I don't think you're gonna get love and affection. You know, it's. I mean, who knows?
I think you can get affection.
Maybe.
It's just like going to your favorite restaurant. You go back to your favorite girl.
That's true. I mean, that's just why we like bring up these things. I think that the biggest part of it though is how it's looked at. You can look at alcohol back in the day during the Prohibition days. It was looked at as a bad thing, not something you should be doing, and now it's promoted and people love it, and there's corner. It's in every corner, and it's a giant multi-billion-dollar industry. Yeah. So one, it's all in how it's looked at. You're looking at now marijuana is getting legalized in different states, and it's going to be becoming more and more common to the point where it's going to be just like a cigarette. You're smoking a cigarette, and it doesn't get looked at as bad, and you're not going to hide it as much. Sure. Eventually, one day, could prostitution be the same, and most people look at it the same way? Yeah, I think that, on that, it's what is society's perception of it, of how the rest of the world deals with it. Why is it illegal? I think would be a better question.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think everyone knows why it's illegal, though. I think it's strictly 100% comes from religion and religion beliefs.
I think originally, yes, but now, why is it still illegal? Is it because people don't want to push the issue to legalize it, and they don't want to go through all the work of doing it, or is it the fact that it would be really difficult to tax?
I think.
Because what are you going to like? You're having sex illegally? You know what I mean? Well, it's kind of like
people. But they're already doing that anyway. You know what I mean? But at least if it's legalized and there's a legit safe way to do it, they can get some revenue from it.
Right.
And the other reason I think it's stayed illegal is because people want to get like people in the positions of power. They want to stay in those positions of power, and they know the people with the biggest votes, a majority of votes, are religious people who go to the polls, people who are constantly like complaining about something.
Right.
9 out of 10 is a religious person. And they, just like president candidates, they keep going after that religious side most of the time to win. Like, even if they don't believe it, that's the way they go, because they know where the votes are. And if they want to stay in power, they want to stay on the right team. You know what I mean? So I'll just make everyone happy on this side, the majority side. Even if they're not the majority, actually, if they're just the loudest, they're the most organized always,
right?
And they're the loudest most of the time. So that vote's gonna win. So that's my opinion.
Sure. I think it's difficult to even like push the issue. I find it really strange, to as to why is it illegal? We have strippers.
Yeah.
You can get a lap dance from a naked stripper on your lap as long as your clothes are on. It's fine. But as soon as like insertion hits, now it's illegal, and you're paying for that. There's escort services where you can pay for that. There's
or massage parlor.
Massage parlors.
You're naked.
Right. Yeah. Everything. As soon as that happens, then now it's illegal.
I don't get that.
Why is that illegal? I do think it comes back to like, the whole religion topic. But at the same time, we have people arguing that, the separation of religion and, church and state, church and state are completely separate. So
that's not true though.
Well, of course it's not true, but that would be my biggest question to that thing is, why is it illegal?
Yeah.
Because, my opinion, do I think it should be illegal? Yeah, I think it should be illegal. But at the same time, why is it? Because that doesn't even make sense to me. I can see more where drugs or alcohol or something like that would be illegal because the rest of the world can be affected from that, to where if I get drunk and get in my car and drive down the road and I crash into somebody, now I'm affecting somebody else's life. Yeah. Whereas prostitution, I'm not affecting anybody else's life but my own. Mm-hmm. And that there's no difference other than the fact that I'm paying money for it. So you can go off and say, well, we want to prevent the spread of disease. Well, we want to prevent the spread of disease. Maybe we should educate people more on how to be cleaner, how to protect themselves. Because if I go out and have sex without paying for it, or I go have sex with paying for it, I run the same risk. Yeah. Essentially. I mean, there's somebody that does it for a living, but at the same time, like there's not really, I don't see how the rest of the world, is affected by that.
Right, they're not.
You know what I mean? Whatsoever. I can understand seatbelt laws. I can understand helmet laws, and I can understand, age restrictions on drinking and alcohol. I can even see age restrictions on smoking cigarettes. Because your mind's more addictive when you're younger and things like that. Yeah. I can understand even outlawing marijuana and drugs and things like that, because the rest of the world can be affected. Mm-hmm. But who I choose to have sex with and how I choose to have sex with this person and how I choose to get it, whether it's, pay you directly
or take him out to dinner first.
Because I mean, that's like, I mean, at some point or another, I have paid for sex, in
an indifferent way.
In an indifferent way, because you go out on a date, take them out on a date, pay for dinner, pay for drinks. We might go out to a movie. I pay for gas to get there. Might take a day off of work. Then I take them on a trip and do all this other stuff. And you know what I mean? Because eventually, at some point, that is expected. And I don't care who it is. I don't care if you're of course, like of course, yeah. And that's. Even if you're a super religious person and you're waiting till marriage, you're still waiting till marriage, and you're still expecting it. You're investing a lot more time and money. You're paying more for it. So has anybody has paid for sex? And if you haven't, then you're
a virgin.
You're a virgin, right? Because whether I paid with my time. Yeah. Because you're talking monetary, like you're talking about, like I paid cash for it, or I paid you with my time. I paid you with taking you out to dinner, buying you drinks, taking you on a trip. Some people go to ridiculous lengths of, taking someone to the Bahamas for 5 days, all in hopes that you're going to get laid.
Or fixing their car if their car broke down, or,
Right. Or,
anything like that.
Right.
Picking them up taking them to work.
Of course, you see it in the movies all the time where, like, the Dukes of Hazzard, Jessica Simpson, she's bending over the car, looking at it, and what happens? The guy stops to help. Is he really trying to help this person, or he's thinking, okay, I can help this person, I can do this, and eventually maybe one day I'll get laid. There's a connection for me to get laid. So, sex is not illegal.
No. Well, kind of. I mean, in this sense, it is like. The way they portray it, like
paid for sex is illegal. That's just paid for sex is illegal. Directly paid for sex is illegal. Yeah. So
exchanging of
that to me is the kind of the weird question, and then I think that comes down to way back of religious beliefs of you should not fornicate.
Yeah. Before marriage or anything like
and
that.
Now is that illegal? Is fornication illegal?
I guess in that sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so you said earlier, like, that if it was up to you, you wouldn't have it legalized. Mm-mm. So why would that be?
Mainly because I think one, you're gonna have like a ridiculous free for all of like, you're gonna like see that anywhere and everywhere. I look at, like, if I were to take my family out or something like that to the movies, and it's you've already got some people that are like, begging for work, begging for change, standing outside of the a restaurant or a store or something like that, and now you're gonna have people everywhere, chicks lined up on the street. You know what I mean, like. So being prostitutes, and it's like, it's now that's like a simple crazy way, and then it's going to turn into like people will pay $5 for it, and then that completely takes away from that. Like, I really think that even if you pay for it or you don't pay for it, and you're like just in the sense of just trying to get laid, which everybody's done, don't get me wrong, but I totally believe that there's so much more to that. Whereas, like, I drink a Rockstar, or a monster or something because I'm tired right now and I know that'll get me like a little boost of energy for the next 20 to 30 minutes. Whereas like, you know, a dude goes out and gets himself a prostitute and he's like, cool, I had that affection, I had that like
release,
yeah, that that attention from another human being, and now I'm good and I can go on as a temporary fix until I find something else or find something better. And the reason why I think people eventually find, you know, love or find a relationship is because eventually they understand that and they realize that, and they're looking for something that's a little more long-term, long-lasting, you know. And I think with anything like that, people look for the quick fixes in fitness. People look for the quick fixes in money. How do I get rich quick? But then, you know, you understand and you realize that it takes hard work and a lot of effort and a lot of persistence to be able to get that good career or that good job or that good amount of money that you're looking for. Same thing with fitness. It takes a lot of hard work, dedication to that. The same thing with a relationship. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication. That's the quick fix to it. And the other thing comes down to, you know, my beliefs of if I were, you know, to agree with just, you know, going out and paying for sex. It's just...
Yeah, it'd be like the bottom for you.
Yeah, it's just like...
So like your main thing, so why you don't want it legalized was because of the effect it would have around you and your potential family on everyday life. So like what they would see, or like... What is it specifically?
Yeah, and
because like we see like advertisements, like sexy, slutty advertisements everywhere all the time.
It's worse, yeah. And that's the thing. That's why I would say I would be against it. You know, and that's, you know, not to contradict myself of why is it not illegal because it doesn't affect me. Well, now I'm saying that maybe it would affect me. You know.
But not in a direct way.
Not in a direct way. Yeah, not in a direct way of how, like,
more emotional.
when you outlaw things, is, you know, how does it affect the rest of the world, I think, or the rest of the wherever this law is being put in place. I just think for the future of like my kids, my grandkids, you know, shoot, you look at how that could be not very long from now. It could be my granddaughter is like, well, when I grow up, I'm going to be a prostitute and I'm just going to like lay on my back for 8 hours a day. You know what I mean? Do you want that for your kids?
Do you think there's anything wrong with that though? Like,
realistically? Yeah.
Like, I know you're a particular individual that likes to strive for a higher calling most of the time. So like, to like somebody who doesn't have like a super high drive, or they just need to get their bills paid, like, that would be like, if they were your family, like that'd be like a huge like embarrassment for you. And do you think that that's only an embarrassment to you now because, if it is because of the way we're brought up and our culture and how we view sex in general, or do you think that's just because that's your family or whatever it may be?
Both, man. I mean, because
I think we're very protective.
I've never very protective of your family, and no, I wouldn't want to see that. At the same time, man, I've been to places, LA, Vegas, and things like that, where like I see prostitutes and hookers, and I look at things in such a different way. I'm like, that's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's, you know, that could be somebody's mom. Who knows? Yeah, both. Mom, or that's somebody's sister or whatever that is. And I just think that like, one, like, there's so many different options out there.
But why is it world? But why, when you see those people, like, why is it the setting that they're in that you see them and they look beat up, they look tired? Do you think if there was a more improved way to handle it?
I think because there's, I could be completely wrong, but I don't think that if there is very many people that at the end of the day would sit down and tell you, like, I love having sex with multiple people all day long for money.
I mean, there's a whole porn industry that does that. They do love it.
I don't know if they do.
There's a lot of them that do, man. There's a lot of them that really do. I know there's like I've watched this like porn convention documentary thing where they're like, if you're looking for a porn star on the floor, you don't find them, it's because they're banging another porn star somewhere. Like, excuse me, they are legitimate nymphomaniacs, and there's different personalities, and because it doesn't fit the norm, it's kind of looked down upon, and like, just like any addiction, like people have addictions, you know what I mean?
Right, but it's an addiction. But it's, again, that's the same thing. Like, some people might like love, like, I might be addicted to alcohol. I might be an alcoholic, but does that it really truly mean that I love alcohol?
But alcohol
or does that
can
mean
hurt you. Sex can't really hurt you.
the hell it can't? You can get AIDS and die.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it's regulated, you can't. I mean, if you're
but it's still, that's like,
no. If it's
the
regulated,
DMV regulates, the driver's licenses. But do people drive unlicensed? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm not saying it's going to be 100% proof, but it's going to be a huge improvement on that whole industry. And like, I think what would happen I think your future of like people lined up, sex everywhere. I think that if that were to happen like that, it'd be for like 6 months to a year, going crazy, people going nuts, and then I think it'd turn into like just like a regular massage parlor kind of thing. Like,
yeah, and I could be wrong, man, because you go to other countries and there's literally like blowjob parlors where like
everywhere
you sit in like, and they have like, it's almost like the stirrup. I think they call them stirrups, where you like sit in a chair. You sit in a chair, you put your legs up, and somebody comes in and like cooks you up. Yeah. So I mean, think of Amsterdam.
How long has that been legal there? And Amsterdam is an awesome place. You know what I mean? Like,
I've never been there, but I mean, yeah, that's my own personal opinion on that. Is that like,
to your point, and to my own, like what I said earlier, we have such a different outlook on sex in general.
That I think it's a culture.
It may affect our culture in a different way than it affects Amsterdam.
Very true.
So I don't know how it could work. It could go the Amsterdam way. It could go the Bangkok way, where it's just go for it. Whatever happens, happens.
Right.
Who knows? Like, I think it's just very interesting. I think that, like you said before, like whatever happens in the bedroom happens in the bedroom. People are going to do it anyway, illegally. You know what I mean? Just like you said, people aren't going to play by the rules all the time. They're doing that now. But now it could, if it's legalized, it would cut the reasoning to import kids and children and women from other countries, like sex, women importation, and it's a sex industry.
Yeah, I mean, sex trafficking, that's like,
it can kill that. You know what I mean? It could cause problems here for sure. I'm not going to say it's going to fix everything like that, but I think it could have a huge hit. Just like legalizing marijuana, it could fix a lot of stuff as far as the drug trade in Mexico and killing and fighting over it. You're like,
yeah, and to add to that too is, I think that, as people, we always want to like either go one step above or one step below.
Like the easier route or the crazy over the top route.
So it's like, people, like it's illegal now. And so now we have like undercover, or we have like, very, very, some of those like, the Bunny Ranch and things like that. We have some of them who like figured out and kind of got it legalized. Yeah. And then you've got prostitutes who, some of them risk every once in a while, they get caught up and then they get, messed up, and people run those risks to do that. So then, once it becomes legal, then people are going to be looking for what's one step either above or below, however you look at that. So like in other countries where, prostitution is legal, now you have the sex trafficking of minors and young people, because
like kinkier stuff.
Way worse stuff. So where it's like, I can go get anybody that's over 18. I can pay for prostitution legally in these countries anywhere I want. But now I want to go like in this back alley where they have, and not me personally, I think that's gross as shit. But like now that you find like some 10, 12-year-old. Yeah. To where it's like, oh, okay, and then it's like it's a new thing for them, because then it's like, then it goes to like, okay, well, legal consent is 16, so we're gonna push that, the prostitution level down to 16, and it's like, okay, well, now I want somebody who's 12, and okay, then we push it back, and then eventually, like, how far do you go, and how far do you like, draw that line of, well, that's what I want, and that's.
Yeah, that part's definitely
That's where I think some of the things where laws need to be put in place need to be stay in those places, because everybody's gonna go just a little bit crazier than what's okay, what's the norm, which I think is good in some ways and can be bad, because if people push the norm, then we'd never get any change or anything different. Yeah. But at the same time, people want to go with something just a little bit crazy, a little bit too far. It's like the speed limit's 75, so I want to do 90. But if we move the speed limit to 90, then I want to do 110.
What do you think about like like say, it was legalized and the age limit was 18.
Okay.
And then the cops still find like do sting operations, and they find that they're still importing like 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, kind of like drugs? Do you feel like those people who are caught? Oh, I guess I can't really compare it. I was gonna say, like, do they just get heavily fined? But you can't heavily fine. You gotta put them in jail. Because I was making the comparison in my head, like, when cops raid a house growing marijuana, they have minimum sentencing. Above, across the board.
Very minimum. Like some of them.
No, I'm saying like they have a minimum where they have this much, they have this many years, this much, this many years. Like, and it's ridiculous. Like 11 years for like, less than a pound of weed or something like that.
Right, right.
And they're non-violent crimes. These ones would be violent crimes.
Yeah.
So that's why in my head I kind of backtrack. So I can't make that comparison. But I was thinking, like, how would you draw the line as far as like penalizing these people, death penalties for like traffickers?
Why not?
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean. To me,
yeah,
why not? Because like that's one. Now you're affecting like kids and people and all this stuff. And the thing is with that, like, that's why I would never really even want to like get into that, and I hope it never does go to that, especially definitely. In America, because the more illegal it is and the more risky it is, the more the price goes up. And eventually, at some point, somebody's going to say, I'm willing to take that risk.
Sure.
Because like why is marijuana not as expensive as cocaine or meth, whatever?
Because the risk went down.
Because the risk levels, goes down. Because like you now, especially nowadays, if you have like one of those medical cards, you get caught with marijuana, then it's like a slap on the wrist, and they might toss it out. Or they might even say like, "Oh, you're legal. Have a good day."
Yeah.
But then now let's take it up a level. Let's take another level. That's why it's more expensive. It's not more expensive because it's a better. More difficult or more difficult to make.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not. It's the demand. You know what I mean? Yeah. The demand for it, which is how illegal is it? That's really because the risk. Yeah, if I'm willing to take that risk and you're not, I can charge more for it. Yeah. So if people are risking death penalties, they're gonna
be charging a lot of money.
They're gonna be charging a shit ton of money, which maybe you can make the risk so high that people aren't willing to do that.
Yeah.
But there's always gonna be somebody.
But that's the thing, though. That's kind of why I'm kind of for it, because like at least this way, like, people can make money, they can earn a living safely because they're already doing it. If they're the type of person that's doing it now, or like they're doing it like illegally, it's dangerous. But there's a legal way. I'm not saying it's like the dream job to go get, like, but at least there's a safer, cleaner option. And I know, like you said, it can be ramped up, but that's the thing. That's the case with anything. I'm just talking about here in the United States, and that's all I can really be concerned about. But
sure, I just think it's another product. I mean, it can be looked at as another drug. You know what I mean? And
yeah, it kind of is.
And it really kind of is. And
but we kind of made it that way ourselves, though. We, just like the dollar bill, we gave it the power it has now.
Oh, absolutely.
And we gave sex the power it has now. Like most, Europeans, they have the same-sex showers, they have nude beaches, because they don't look at it the same way. Right.
Yeah.
So we did it to ourselves.
It comes down to culture too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we did it to ourselves. Like, I think if we slowly break those down, then we can get to a place where that's not so crazy.
Yeah, and I also think, like, everything is how you start, and everything starts from the top down. And like, why did, people come to America in the first place?
Start crap, get stuff done, start a new life. Yes,
but really, why?
Actually, they wanted escaping like horrible lives too.
They're escaping horrible lives. They didn't want to be like under the reign of a king, and they wanted religious freedom. Amongst other things. So the entire reason that, for the most part, we're here is because a lot of people wanted religious freedom. And when you start going against that, I think that no matter what, like, your foundation of how you start anything is always going to have an effect on that, no matter how hard you try to push it a different way, because everything was literally built on the fact that that's a lot of what people wanted. So
like what we said earlier, like, the separation of church and state isn't.
No, heck no. It's never going to. That's never gonna have a complete separation. So, to try to go against that, I think just as our culture, we're not really gonna be able to shy away from that.
I think it could be broken down though a little bit. I think it could be chipped away. I think it could be more realistic, more adult about it, more not like extreme where like, hey, you want to walk down the street naked, go ahead. Not like that, but I'm saying like a nude beach, like being topless or whatever it may be, but like just not happening at once.
Yeah.
But like slow changes. I mean, we already like we talked about before. Like every ad is sold by sex. Like
right.
It's the thing that actually does sell. It works. They don't say sex sells because it's fun to say. It's because it works. Like
100%.
So
100%.
I think we just need to make another conscious step to being like, we know what's going on. Like, I think the big step to change that would be the advertisements, making it not that way. Like, you know what I mean? But
yeah, but I mean, I'm gonna be the first person to admit, and I'm sure you will too, that like if I see a hot chick holding a hamburger,
yeah,
or I see like the little Wendy's girl, I'm going to Carl's Jr. And that's that's just it. That's my nature. That's what it is.
Like we're programmed. Like,
it's we go back to like instinct things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're drawn to weird shapes. Big round shapes.
Big round shapes.
Fake ones too.
Whatever it is, because and that's kind of more like not to get completely off topic, but we kind of still are. I mean, that's where that comes from, is like instinct type of things.
Yeah.
I want some girl with a big ass because she has wider hips and she can give birth to my child much easier.
Not gonna die coming out of her.
Right.
Like it's gonna slide right out.
I want big boobs because I know that she's gonna be able to feed my kid, and I'm trying to, pass my seed on. And I'm trying to create more people in this world, and I want to find a person that's going to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And so we're able to sell that because no matter what, I look at that and I see that as a potential candidate for me to be able to pass my genes on. And that's just, you're never going to get away from that. Never getting away from that. No way. And there's how do you compete with that? Because the second someone says, well, nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. Then everybody else does. It's like that stupid thing where people go, well, let's all start using one gas station. That's never going to happen. Like, quit even trying and give it up.
Not next to
and
my
truckers
work.
aren't going to stop on the side of the road either. So knock all that off. So, but people are smart because people look at what works, and you can't deny the fact that sex works. People sell sex. Yeah. People sell sex.
I buy it.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I buy it.
Who doesn't?
Hook, line, and
I
sinker.
tip more. I tip if you own a restaurant, have women need to do that, unless you're going to have guys with like six packs and their shirts off.
Yeah.
Which I think there's actually a restaurant now that does that.
I'm sure there is.
And
if not,
just wants chicks. You should. Why not? Wow, that's a great idea.
I'll take that one. That's us.
So hire chicks. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tip more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tip more, and I'm gonna come back.
Well, yeah, because for whatever reason, guys succumb to that more than women do. I mean, we were talking about this earlier. Like, there's polls and research saying that women are just as nasty as men. But but when it comes to outward appearance and outward speaking and kind of that vulgarness, I guess you could call it, we're way more louder in that sense. And women are a little more reserved, or a lot more reserved.
It's weird because I think
they want to be.
I think physically, women are more. They advertise it more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, I don't look around for a T-shirt that shows off my stomach or something like that, or
should.
or people look at okay, this shirt fits me well and maybe kind of shows off some of my physique, yes, but chicks will go and pay thousands of dollars to have bigger boobs.
They do it for their self-esteem though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So they feel better about themselves.
Right. Yeah. But so nobody else is looking at those all day but somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Unless
butt implants. They go get butt implants and all this other random stuff.
Yeah.
But dude's not gonna go get that. Every once in a while some people get it, but
get some calf implants.
Right. And then a chick's like, why are you staring at my boobs? Because you got freaking double D's? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe because you wanted me to look at those.
Body. Yeah. And then what else?
so that, but we talk about it a lot more, but I think behind closed doors,
or in their minds.
If I could be a fly on a wall and on a wine night with some chicks, I'll tell you right now for a fact, you're gonna have like a completely different opinion of women.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and how they think.
But that's the thing. I understand how they really are, and like they are that way. But I'm just saying, like the outward, like if it was an ad, if there was an ad for a man and a woman, the man would be a lot more vulgar, and the woman would be a lot more reserved.
For sure.
You know, in that outward world of advertisements, or in the points of people's eye, you know, the point of view of people's most majority eye, that would be the portrayal. And I actually think, I kind of thought about this a little bit. I think another reason is because women are inherently a lot more vulnerable.
Absolutely.
So it's
absolutely,
it's in their best interest to kind of be a little more reserved and cautious, and not as maverick about it, and like not as like, hey, like you want to, like, what's up, kid, like you want to do something with me, because like that guy, you don't know that guy, he could just dominate you. Yeah, physically dominate you, and there's nothing they could do about it, more than likely.
Well, women like women and men, obviously they don't think the same. Men are much more straightforward. They act on how they think and what's going on.
Logical thinking. Women act on how they feel.
Yeah. You know, they act on how they feel. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and they'll say that all the time. Like, I don't feel like going. I don't feel like this. I don't. You know, everything that they do goes off.
Feel like eating.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything that they do, for the most part, goes off of how they feel. You know, I think where we see the difference.
It's just definitely different.
It's definitely different. Because, like, yeah.
I don't always understand it.
Don't try to.
Because a lot of the time it doesn't go with what's logical or what makes sense. And I know I'm offending a lot of people right now, but that's okay, because this is my show. If you have something to say about it, why don't you write me or come be on the show and tell me why I'm wrong. And I can ask you dumb questions, or we can both talk about it. But I don't know, man. It's definitely a weird thing. And prostitution, I think, if they don't have to worry about it, if there's a system in place, it could turn bad, it could turn ugly quick, or it could be a little more crazy of a world than it is now, with a different option, like a little more of an extreme massage parlor is what I would like to think of it. Like, hey man, my back's messed up, can you massage the kinks out? Like, it's not going to be a permanent fix, but man, it's going to feel great for like a couple days, you know?
Right.
And I'm not going to go like, you know, have the urge because there's some crazy guys, like they've been dealt a bad card of you know, I've worded it wrong, but
they're ugly.
They're ugly is what I'm trying to say. Thank you for saving me. But they weren't given the best looks in life, and so they get repeatedly rejected no matter what they do. And I'm sure there's tricks that they can do and everything like that, but they just develop a defense when it comes to women. So whenever they see a pretty girl, they're like, fuck that chick. You know, I hate women. They're the worst. And I'm not even gonna try anymore. They give up. They either become suicidal. They become resentful. They become bloggers, you know, mean bloggers.
Yeah.
And talk trash. And some of them become rapists. Some of them become murderers. Some of them, you know, I'm not saying majority people, because it happens to a lot of people. I'm sure a small fraction of those people end up doing those kind of things. But I think if there's like a little option, like, hey, come release like some of that anger.
So what you're saying is it could become a good release for people, almost as like it could be looked at more as like a therapy session type of deal.
Kinda, yeah.
Instead of where it gets to be like something different, which I could totally, you know, I could somewhat see that. At the same time, I mean, I think it kind of goes against what like instinctual things are, because
like you can't tell me
you get attracted to people for certain traits. The same thing where we like boobs and butts, because that's, you know, what we're looking for. Same thing where a woman looks at somebody who's more muscular and more, you know, fit, because they're going to be able to protect them better.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to look at like, you know, the ugly, scrawny, sorry if I offend anybody, guy, because they're not going to be able to protect them. Women want to be loved.
Protected.
Well, they want to be protected. Yeah, they want to be protected. That's really the biggest thing. They want to be protected.
Sometimes that means financially. I'm gonna throw that out there too.
Well, because that gets put off differently, because financially. But nowadays, that's what it is. Because if you are able to financially support that person, you're able to protect her. How? By putting a roof over her head, by going out and buying, the groceries and things that she needs, and getting her the car that's safe for her to drive in. Somebody, and be able to do the things for her to be able to advance in life and be able to get a good, complete life. So, yeah, I mean, I would totally agree with that. I totally agree with that.
But yeah, it's instinctually that's the way it is. But kind of economically, it's changed to.
Well, because we have so many women in the workplace and things like that. Yeah, but
they got in somehow.
There's actually I saw it, and I don't know exact numbers, but more marriages end in divorce when both people are
successful.
Not successful, but when both people are sharing the duties of the house.
Oh, really?
So yeah, and that could be go back to where you have both people that are successful.
Yeah.
If the husband comes home and makes dinner one day, and then the wife comes home and makes dinner, and then the husband takes out the trash and mops the floors one day, and the women they showed, and they've actually interviewed a lot of them. They said they didn't feel as needed or complete, the women, and so it led to a lot of different things. But when they did that study, a lot more marriages, and it was a pretty big number, not like a small number.
Right, big sample size.
Yeah, a lot of marriages ended in divorce when they shared the household roles.
I mean, I guess you could say most marriages ended in divorce anyway.
50%.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how.
Get married twice, just double your chances.
So I don't really know if that study is like that big of a deal, because you have, according to the numbers, a 50-50 chance anyway. But I guess that could play into that, like, being a bigger percentile, like of why it might happen. But
so
that's interesting.
I mean, just kind of one thing to throw in there.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's
any other thoughts on the whole prostitution game?
My only last thought, and we can kind of leave it on this, is the prostitution. The first thing when you think of prostitution, and all we've talked about was female prostitution.
Yeah.
My thought and my question to that would be is, if it were legal and if it were Americanized and it were
corporatized,
mainstream, what would that be? How would what would the statistics be on that?
As far as how many guys would there be?
Yeah, guy to girl ratio of prostitutes, and what would the use of that be?
I think I could map that out pretty easily. I think it would be like either really successful women going to men who have no time, don't want any drama, don't want marriage, don't want kids. They just need that fix, and they can go because they got money, since they're successful. They can go as often as they want, whenever they want, and then it's gonna be ugly chicks. Hate to say it, or like emotionally, we're talking about feeling emotionally unsecure women, and the only way they feel like they can get that part of affection, not just the other emotional part, but that actual physical need, is to go through something like that. I think it's gonna be a way smaller number, and it's not gonna be balanced at all. But you
never know.
You never know, but that would be a very, very wonderful thing to see. Well, I don't know about wonderful, but it'd be very interesting to see, like, what kind of guy would be signing up, because that takes a lot of patience, I would imagine, because
right, yeah. See,
it's a different dynamic.
But see, the price that you could put on that, would be, because like. Yeah. I get like, give me a good 20 minutes before I'm ready to go again. Yeah. I already, like, I know what you're getting at. So, right. But like a girl, it's like, I mean, for the most part, nonstop. You can go. So really, my price is gonna be a lot higher. Yeah. My price is gonna be much higher. Yeah. Some rare breed.
And I guess around that time you get the arguments like, equality in pay. Like that could be a whole mess right there. Like,
sure.
Equality, but it's pricing.
It's supply and demand.
Supply and demand. Like
it's supply and demand.
Yeah. So that's a very tricky, weird world to think about.
So yeah, everything you're gonna have, you are so ready for it. Man. One more thing to add to that though could be is I try to look at good and bad of anything.
Yeah. As a normal person should.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't.
You can look at it almost in a good way, whereas you may not have so many people getting into these relationships, or getting into having families and things like that because of that need.
Because
you know what I mean?
Need, yeah.
Because like if you go and let's say prostitution's legal and you go, okay, well, I'm focusing on my career. Guy comes out of high school, college, whatever it is, and he goes, look, I'm going to focus on my career right now. I'm going to focus on everything that I need to do, and I don't really want to get married and have kids and all that stuff until I'm 35, for example.
And I don't have a lot of money coming out of college. I don't really want to be dating a bunch of women over and over again.
Right. I would like to have a relationship one day, and I would like to have a good relationship and a healthy relationship one day, but not until I'm 35. So now he goes and he's got everything that he needs. He has his friends. He goes to the prostitute 3 times a week and goes and sees her, says hello to her, gets that little bit of affection, then gets back to work of what he needs to do instead of, calling her in the morning, telling her good morning, going out to lunch with her while she's at work, or, vice versa, traveling, to the other side of the country to go see her, and, making sure that when you could be focusing on exactly what you need to get done and becoming successful, and also gives you time, because I feel like a lot of times people rush into these relationships because it's like, well, if I take a girl out on a date, it's like, okay, I want to talk to this person, but like I'm trying to get to the date. Why am I trying to get a date? Because I'm trying to get laid. But if it was like, I know that, you have a guy prostitute that you go see all the time, and I have my female prostitute that I go see all the time. Definitely. I'm dating you and I'm talking to you for a completely different reason and a completely different meaning of I want to get to know you because I want a good, long-lasting relationship. I want a healthy relationship. I want to have kids with somebody that I can raise them the same way that we both see eye to eye on how we want to raise them, how we want our life to be, and we both are now successful, and we're both in the same path. And now we can start this great relationship, and it's based off of how we connect and on a much deeper level, because the sex portion of it is out, and when we finally do have sex, it's going to be so much more meaningful and so much more to it than just getting laid. But up until then, I don't need that from you because I already got that, and it could be this, you could look at it the same way where, when there's 2 successful people that don't rely on another person for money, that gets taken out of the way. I'm successful, you're successful. Now I look at what else? Am I attracted to this person? Yeah. You know what I mean?
You have to be sexually attracted.
You have to be sexually attracted to that person, but it's like I'm not like trying so hard to get laid because I already do get laid.
Yeah, it's taken care of.
You know what I mean? So you're able to look at that person as, would I want to spend the rest of my life or a long period of time with that person, without we try so hard to get to sex so quickly. It's mostly
just like a mechanical need more than like a life need. You know what I mean? Like, it is a life need, but it's like that part of that life need, very mechanical part physically, is already taken care of.
Right. It's like it's kind of strange, but like they always say, don't go to the grocery store hungry, because you're going to grab whatever off the shelf that you can, because you're going to like. Same thing as a relationship. You go to the grocery store, out into the world, you're going to grab the first thing you can because you're starving. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if I'm full and I'm good to go, clear-headed, then I go to the grocery store and I'm able to look at the apple and make sure that it's good, and it's not, instead of like throwing everything in the cart that I can, getting it in my car and eating it as quick as possible. So, on the contrary of what I said, what I think is like completely... I don't think it is a good idea, which I'm still sticking to that I don't think it's a good idea. There's another side to it that, we could see a lot more meaningful relationships, healthy relationships.
And it sounds so contrarian. Like, it sounds so like, well, how could that be? You just think that guys would just go have sex all the time and they wouldn't care about women anymore. No. But I don't think so. I think what you're saying is true.
Yeah, people want good, healthy, lasting relationships. It's the same thing where, we want really good friendships. Yeah. And when you find that good friendship, whether it's with a male or a female, you want to hold on to that friendship as long as possible, because you know those other friendships, they may be meaningful, but they're not as meaningful as someone who you can, you know, have a good friendship with, and you hold on to that as long as possible.
Well, here's a simple, easy example I think almost anyone can understand. Like, the basketball season's on right now. Those guys can go to the park and play basketball with anyone who shows up, right? Mm-hmm. They can have fun. They could do okay. They can win. But the reason they are on a team, they like to be on the team they're on, is because they build a relationship with that team. They know everything in it. They know their ins and outs.
Right.
And they're going to be successful with that team. It's just like that with, you know, having sex with somebody. Like,
Right, yeah. I like to go shoot hoops every once in a while, but like once I got my team, I got my team.
Got your friends, you got a good relationship, like, you're set.
So that's the other side to it that I think it, you know, you will never know.
No.
You know what I mean? You will never know.
And then there's people like with just different personalities. They're just going to take any situation that's available or not available in any different direction. So you're going to get like the positives and the negatives we're both talking about. Yeah. You're going to get the people, I want something a little crazier. I want a little girl, or I want a little boy. Or no, like, I'm going to go buck wild on this chick for, you know, a couple hours, and I'm going to go have a drink with my friends, you know, like, it can be whatever anyone wants it to be. But I'm just saying, I think as a majority, I think it'll be for the positive, and it could be for the positive.
For sure.
You just never know.
For sure.
So I think we're going to end it right there. Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Should be having them on more and more now.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll it's good stuff. I enjoy it.
Some dumb questions every week or so whenever we can do this. And if you guys have any questions or any dumb questions you like to ask or chime in on or yell at us about, or you can find us at bigfanpod.com. On Twitter, I'm at Juggernaut81. On Instagram, I'm at Garcia81. And our email is at bigfanpod@gmail.com. Do you have any websites or anything you want to plug? They can find you. I don't want to talk to you.
Just Google me.
I'm sure you'll find them.
Just Google me.
Top of the page right there.
No, thanks for having me again. It was just super awesome. Really enjoy this. So whatever questions you guys have, let's throw them out there, get them answered, and
figure it out.
Figure some stuff out.
Yeah, so until next time, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.